Today I'm in Torrevieja, and I came here today with two ideas in mind. The first thing was to check out this thing over here behind me. More about that later. And then I was going to go and photograph one of the salt lakes here at sunset. Now the only thing is, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, because the thing about this salt lake, its kind of major defining feature is its colour, because it's supposed to be pink, but today it's not. It's kind of greeny blue, I think, from what I can see of it, at least from a distance. So I may shoot this, or I may go on to a different set of lakes further away. I don't know yet. But first of all, we're going to go and check out this thing and we'll talk about it. And I'm sure I'll end up doing something around sunset. Either way, I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do, and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I am in Torrevieja by one of the salt lakes here, and the first thing I want to check out was this behind me. It's called Caracola de Toro Ito, which I'm probably pronouncing correctly, but I'll put the name up here now. Caracola, whatever it is basically a conch shell, and this thing is shaped like a conch shell. And Toro Ito was the Japanese architect who designed it. As I understand it, it was supposed to be the first part of a big leisure complex that was going to be built here. They started the construction. This building was going to be the visitor centre or something. They ran into problems, first financial, then legal. It got abandoned, it's become derelict. I think there's been a fire here. But it still looks like it might be interesting, and I just want to have a little look around, just see if there's some photographic opportunities here. I have seen pictures taken inside, so I'm interested to see if you can still get inside it or whether it's been barricaded off, and if it's safe to get inside there as well, of course. We'll have a little nosy around and see what we can find. Okay, I've been all the way around this thing, all the way around through rough undergrowth, clambered up and down slopes, and there's only one way in that I can see, and that's to climb through what would have been a window in the concrete supporting structure. But quite apart from the fact that that's blooming awkward, there's also broken bottles and, you know, potentially other stuff that I don't think is worth risking for, you know, something like this. So sometimes you just have to know when to give up, and that's what I'm doing here. I've seen it. I know it's not something I want to bother with in the future, so I'm going to move on and have a look at the salt lake before deciding if I shoot this lake at sunset or go on to another one. Okay, so I've come round now to the lake. Now this lake is called Laguna Rosa, so it's supposed to be pink. And in the very shallow water near the shore, there is some hint of sort of a pinky brown colour, but the vast majority of it is actually blue. So the question is there a composition here that I think is worth hanging around for until sunset, or would I be better off going off to the other lakes, which might open up some additional possibilities? There is one scene in front of me. There's these posts that kind of form a bit of a perimeter, and there's a nice line of them going out. Unfortunately, they also go across the scene further out, so I'd have to compose around that. But that might work if we got some nice light, but I'm not sure. I've taken a walk along the shoreline here for about 10 minutes or so, not finding anything more interesting to shoot, so I may take a walk up the other way. At the moment it looks like that scene with the posts might be about the best, but I'm still debating whether to get in the car and drive 45 minutes to the other salt lakes, but I don't really know what's there because I've never been there either. So that could be less appealing. Well, it's decision time. It's about an hour and 10 minutes until sunset. We've actually got some quite nice conditions, some nice textured clouds, a little bit higher than I would like, but it still looks potentially pretty nice. Should leave a gap for the sun to come through, so we could get some colours. And we've got quite a nice scene with those posts that I looked at earlier. If I go off to the other set of lakes that I was looking at, well, the problem with that is it's a good 40, maybe 45 minutes drive to get there, and I don't know what's there. I don't know if there's going to be a better composition. I don't know if there's going to be anything at all to shoot there. So I've decided to set up and do a shot here now, even though we've got a little way to go till sunset, because the sun's going in and out behind some clouds, and I think it might look nice. I'm using the wooden posts coming in on the left side of the frame and kind of pointing across roughly towards the direction of where all the clouds are. We've got some nice reflections. Shooting wide angle. I've got 3-stop reverse ND grad and a 2-stop ND grad, both hard edged, on the camera at the moment, and I'm going to try the shot as soon as the sun basically dips behind the cloud over there. It's kind of just breaking through at the minute. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes until it's dipped down below again, and then we'll give it a go. So the thing is, if I shoot now, then the sun's just going to be blown out, and we're going to probably get lens flare. We're going to get bright hot spots on the water. So what I'm waiting for is the sun just to go behind the clouds, and then what we might get is some rays coming out above and below some of the clouds, and obviously hopefully it will take out the really bright highlights as well. So it's got a little bit breezier now, which is not great for the reflections. So what I've done is I've taken out the 2-stop ND filter, 2-stop hard grad, and I've put in my 6-stop ND filter along with my reverse grad. And then when that sun just drops behind the cloud there, hopefully that will let me get maybe a 3 or 4 second exposure, which will just take that ripples out of the water and hopefully make it look a bit better. So there goes the sun, just dipping behind the clouds now. I'll give it just a little bit longer. So it goes fully out now. It's coming back through another gap now. It's going to be another few minutes, I think. Okay, there it goes, behind the clouds. And hopefully that means we're going to lose the hot spots and the flare, and we might be able to get an image. So as the sun's still quite a bit higher, actually the reverse grad was probably not the best one to go for. So what I did was I swapped out my 3-stop normal hard-edged ND grad, which obviously darkens the top of the sky a bit more, and I think that's actually a bit better, because otherwise the top of the sky is too bright. I managed to get about a 3 second exposure, 3.2 seconds, and it looks pretty nice on the back of the camera, so we'll see what it looks like. I am going to shoot another one a bit more underexposed, maybe just like a second, just because it looks like there might be a little tiny bit of blown highlights. Probably only in the JPEG preview, but it's always worth taking that other shot just to be on the safe side. So the sun's just about to come out the bottom of those clouds again, and then I think it's just going to be a waiting game until it starts to drop below the hills in the background. That'll probably be in about another half an hour, 35 minutes. So I think all I'm going to do is chill out here and wait and see what happens. There were lots of people around earlier, they all seem to have disappeared now, that's nice. Okay, so the sun's getting quite a bit lower now, but we've still got probably 20 minutes or so before actual sunset. But I've set up for another shot, which is keeping the bright part of the sky where the sun is out of the frame, and it's just using this row of posts going out across the scene, very minimalist. I'm putting the horizon across the middle, and I'm keeping the posts all below the horizon line, so below the land on the far side, with the exception of the first post, which I can't do anything about. It's so much taller than the others. Now on this shot there are a few posts out in the distance that kind of go across the wrong way, which I'm not so happy with. I can't really do much about them compositionally, but what I might do is just clone them out in Photoshop. So 2, 4, 8. 2, 4, 8, 16, 30. Just decided to do a longer exposure version of that. I've swapped the 6-stop filter for the 10-stop. That should let me get a nice 30-second exposure, enough to take all the ripples out of the water and hopefully just smooth everything out and make it look nice. I had originally thought to use my first composition for the sunset as well, but the problem is the sun's setting too far across to the right of the scene, and it just doesn't balance compositionally. So instead what I'm doing is I'm actually shooting through those posts. Things have gone very, very calm and still now. We've got beautiful reflections in the scene, and the sun's going to be dropping down in probably 3 or 4 minutes. There's a few people out here, obviously out watching the sunset. I'm the only one, as far as I can see, doing photography here. But once that sun starts to drop down, we'll lose the glare off the scene. We'll have some beautiful reflections, hopefully. Those posts forming just a little bit of interest across the scene, mostly as silhouettes. I've got my reverse ND grad in to just hold back that sunset, that bright bit across the horizon as the sun goes down, and hopefully that'll be enough. Just a case of waiting now. Okay, the sun's dipping down now. I'm going to do one shot, f22, focused on the sun. Bloody mosquitoes everywhere. I slathered myself in mosquito spray before I came out, but I'm not sure it's making a blind bit of difference. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to f11, dial in my exposure to about 1/13 of a second, shoot that. Ooh, that looks quite nice. Just hoping there's no loads of mosquitoes in the scene. They're everywhere. Look at that, that is gorgeous. Those tones in the sky, the textures, all the reflections in the foreground here. It's got to be worth just hanging in here, taking a few more shots, either as standalone shots or maybe even to do a little bit of blending, you know, that thing where maybe I blend in the sunset and the post-sunset colours. I don't know yet, we'll have to see how it works out. Being eaten alive by mosquitoes, but it's worth it for this sky and this reflections. It's gorgeous. And I stuck on about 3 gallons of mosquito spray. Doesn't seem to have done a lot of good. Go away! Okay, that's it. The colours are fading and I am being absolutely swarmed by mosquitoes. I'll have to get some different mosquito spray. That one doesn't seem to do much good. But what a glorious, glorious sunset. And I'm so glad I stayed here. I think if I'd have gone on somewhere else, I might well have missed it. Absolutely beautiful. My first stop off on this trip was a bust. I couldn't find what I wanted. But this absolutely made up for it. Mosquitoes everywhere. And even though the lake wasn't pink, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to get away from these little biting things, mosquitoes, because I'm almost certainly going to be covered in bites tomorrow or tonight, and head for home. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a like, share it on social media. Leave me a comment. All of these things really help to grow the channel. If you're new here and you've enjoyed this, and you enjoy seeing somebody being eaten by mosquitoes, if you're new here and you've enjoyed this, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, which will hopefully be mosquito free. Bye.